welcome to Project Rubicon. Before we jump in today, I wanted to welcome you to my channel and give you an overview of some of the things that I'll be covering in my videos and also some of the guiding principles for why I started this channel. First and foremost, I'm a firearms enthusiast. I've been shooting for over 25 years. I really just enjoy it. I've really enjoyed over the years getting exposure to some of the other YouTube firearms channels. They've definitely taught me a lot just in terms of shooting, gear, and just general preparedness, which has been very helpful for me in my firearms journey. Thirdly, I want to learn. I'm not an expert, not really certified in anything, but definitely want some advice, and again, to continue to get inspiration for some of the builds that I'm planning to do on the channel, and just any general recommendations for how I have any of my firearms set up, or anything that could help me enhance my shooting. I mentioned inspiration for new builds. I think, going into 2026, there are definitely some projects that I want to pursue. I have a couple ideas, so I'll probably make some decisions going into the January to March timeframe. And then hopefully on this channel, I can kind of highlight the base gun and then the build out of it and see what the finished product looks like. One of the other core areas is, I think just helping people make informed purchases about certain guns. Some of the guns that I have, like the one here, is not necessarily new by any means, but not everybody's going to buy brand new stuff. So the used market for some of these guns fluctuates, and I think some products are definitely better than others. So I'll do my best here to give you my honest feedback on these guns and just my thoughts on shooting thousands of rounds through them. So I wanted to walk through the first gun from my collection today, which is a Glock 23. This is a Gen 3. I bought this gun back in, I want to say 2013 or 2014. It was one of the first firearms that I actually purchased. I'm a big believer in Glock. I know certain people don't necessarily like Glocks. They think they're kind of boxy and ugly. That's fine. I mean, to each their own. To me, I really like them. I think they're very dependable firearms. I think they hold their value pretty well. And, with this, again, I've shot thousands of rounds through it, and I can only recall a handful of occasions where I've had any kind of malfunction. Most of them are due to the ammo that I've been using and it's stovepiping. So overall, this has been a great gun. You'll see on the firearm, I haven't really changed a ton with it. I like to keep Glocks pretty stock. Just because of their reliability factor. I think when you, especially with internals, start changing parts out, they're always susceptible to just accidents in general, especially if, you're not a trained professional or don't necessarily know what you're doing when you're installing them. So I like to keep it pretty stock. Again, it's worked fine for me over the years. And again, before I jump in here, I do want to just make a note that I did clear this firearm. It's safe. There's no ammunition in the gun, so we're good to go there. So tip to butt, I can just quickly walk through the couple of things that I put on the gun. Fairly basic. The main one here being the O-Light. So this is a PL Turbo Valkyrie. I bought this light a couple years ago. These are super affordable lights. I think right now on Amazon you can get them for, I want to say they are 60 or 65 bucks. So they're pretty cheap. Like I said, it's worked pretty well. You can kind of see on the front, it doesn't quite fit flush with this gun, but it's not really that big of a deal to me. And it has 3 modes. So there's these kind of paddles on either side of the gun, which you can actuate it. So there's a constant mode, which you can click on, click off. There's a momentary mode where if you hold it, it'll shine the light out, let it go, it cuts it off. And then there's a strobe function. If you click both sides of it, it'll strobe the light. But like I said, super solid light. It is a little bulky. It obviously sticks out a ways from the barrel. The barrel on this gun I think is it's a little over 4 inches, so it sticks out about an extra, I'd say maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch. But again, it's worked great. Not too heavy, and I would say when you have a kind of fully loaded magazine in here, this has a 12 round capacity plus one in the chamber. It actually balances the gun fairly nicely. So, if you're looking at lights, it's definitely something to consider. The other thing, this is kind of hand tightened right now on the rail here. I would say if you're going to keep the light on the gun kind of all the time, I would say maybe just put like a very tiny dab of blue Loctite or something on here just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere, especially if you're doing some like aggressive training stuff. Otherwise, hand tightening works fine. Again, I've never had any issues with this loosening up on me, but I do kind of take it on and off over the course of time. Another thing with this that I did was just got a rubberized Talon grip. Again, you can find these on Amazon. They're fairly inexpensive, probably $20 to $30. And they're definitely great because the Glock 23s, at least this generation, does not have any kind of stippling on the grip. So having this on here definitely helps you get just a solid grip on the gun. One caveat with these, if you're going to go with this, I would say definitely go with the rubberized grip as opposed to the one that's really gritty like sandpaper. And I think it's more of a gray color. This is fine. I mean, again, it doesn't feel like this is going to slip in my hand at all. The other one is more aggressive, but especially if you're going to be concealed carrying or something like that, it is going to kind of scrape your skin a little bit. And if that doesn't bother you, that's fine. But I think for me, I have this same one on my carry gun, which I'll probably cover in another video. But again, if you want to do something else, you could throw some hockey tape or goon tape just around the grip here and it should work fine. So this Glock model is about the same size as a Glock 19. They have very minor differences in size, but it's for all intents and purposes, a full-size handgun. I have kind of medium-sized hands, so the grip fits me pretty nicely. I can get 3 fingers on the grip with no problem, and because of that, I've never kind of felt the need to get a pinky extender or anything like that. This gun, if you look at it, is a little bit chunky. Again, it works great for a full-size gun, but if you're going to be planning to carry this, especially concealed, probably not the best option. Just because, again, it is a 40 cal, it's a little bit bulky. So just factor that in. That's really all in terms of kind of upgrades I did to this gun. What I will say is, I watch a lot of channels where people do all sorts of crazy stuff to their handguns, and some of them are pretty cool, the builds that people do and the people who train, weekly and really get after it. I just, with my schedule, don't have the time, unfortunately, or necessarily the facilities to do that on a super regular basis. To try and get out as much as I can. But, again, this was my first gun. So what I had built this out for was kind of a nightstand gun. I wanted something that I knew I could shoot reliably, that had a light that, I could grip well, that, I knew that the caliber was fine. And that was reliable, and it suited that purpose. And, shortly after I got this, I kind of worked my way through, or up rather, to, just some different guns, and kind of that evolved over time. So I think for the purpose of the gun, right, that's how you should build it, and you should also build it to your budget. You can build out Glocks with all sort of crazy configurations, but, start with the minimum of what you need and the application of what you're planning to use it for, and then upgrade it from there. The two things with this that I would say are the biggest drawbacks for me are the sights. The sights on this are pretty crappy. It's not great. So I think if you're gonna do something that's not crazy, maybe getting some night sights for this would be good. The other thing with these guns that, again, I mentioned earlier, I probably wouldn't upgrade, but that is just a general complaint with Glock, is their triggers. Their triggers suck. I mean, that's a pretty well-known fact. They're very sharp and kind of angular, and have kind of a long draw on them. So They're not my favorite compared to other things, but again, it definitely gets the job done. Um, and then again, like with it being a 40 cal, like I said earlier, it has a 12 round capacity, so decent capacity. And I think when I bought this back in 2014, I spent about, I want to say 480 on it. They've obviously come out with some different generations of them since then. The big one between the third generation that I have and some of the newer ones that I actually like is that they have the kind of plate or the back strap on here that you can change out depending on the type of grip that you want. This one unfortunately has a fairly small beaver tail on the back, so when you're shooting it, if you want to kind of really ride up on the gun, it still works, but I definitely prefer a little bit longer beaver tail. It just makes it, in my opinion, a little bit easier to shoot. But yeah, this gun has been great. It's probably one that I'll hang on to for a long time. So definitely no plans to get rid of it. Luckily, Glock has, you know, a million models that you can get. 40 cal is a little bit, I would say, more obscure in terms of just, you know, things that I can shoot with like ammunition, like a 9mm. But you know, I try to have kind of one caliber of different things, so this kind of meets that need for me. The ammo that I typically run with this, if it's in a self defense or home defense capacity, is the Sig. I think it's the Elite Defense. I can't remember if these are 165 or 180 grain, but no, these rounds are good. I've shot a bunch of these through it, and again, never really had any issues with it. So yeah, so that's my Glock. Again, I'm gonna definitely plan to do some more videos with some of my handguns, some of my rifles, SBR, and then, like I said, I am thinking through a couple of builds for the new year, so hopefully I'll be able to feature those on the channel, and then we'll also probably get into some types of emergency preparedness stuff as well. So I'm really looking forward to this. So for those of you out there watching, I appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.